the stock market. All the tech stocks seem to have imploded.
On Monday, yeah, there was a huge drop off. And it was basically because it was revealed the AI that China has been working on called DeepSeek was much cheaper, way cheaper, and its processing power was a lot more impressive than people had initially anticipated. And so when you see dollar for dollar the fact that they have this model that's also open source, it just took a hammer to this industry in this country that has been really trying to motivate investment into the tech sector on the promise of this revolutionary technology with AI. But China has been able to do it for pennies on the dollar. And the other part of this is... Hold
on one second. I just want to emphasize this.
Yeah.
Here, put this headline up. This is a headline from 4 days ago. Right. Wait, why isn't it? There we go. There it is. This is from Reuters. Okay. Meta is going to spend up to $65 billion this year to power its AI goals. And this DeepSeek comes out, and they supposedly spent $6 million to develop this open source program. Now, there's, some rumors that maybe they have gotten a hold of the NVIDIA chips that were supposed to be illegal for them to have been able to import. Maybe the case.
Maybe, or they came up with technology that they are manufacturing their chips with a more efficient material. We don't know.
It could be either one. Although, there's a certain irony in the idea that their AI may have scraped some of our AI, both hardware and software or sources to develop.
Taking our AI's jobs.
But one thing that it clearly reveals is that, and for a long time we've been saying a lot of this AI stuff is just hype. Mm-hmm. And much of that hype was essentially a way to sort of raise supposedly the cost associated with AI and the values associated with AI. I mean, they're talking about for months and months and months. If you follow sometimes I follow some investment people on Instagram just to see, and they're talking about we're going to have to build power plants. We're going to have to build all these major things Amazon's building all these power plants and data centers for AI and all this investment. And it was just basically more or less sort of like a Ponzi scheme of some sort, where just more and more money is following more and more money, desperately looking for a place to invest because, the meme coin, they can only put so much money into meme coins. And on some level, all this AI stuff was some of it's real. AI is going to be helpful for certain things and whatnot, but there's a big sort of space in between where what actually needed to be invested in AI existed and what was, that's sort of on some level a meme coin in and of itself.
And it's just another tech bubble, right? It is our tech industry, which had buoyed our economy really from the 90s on. There was obviously a crash, but since then, honestly, both parties have been complicit in elevating this industry because it's one of since the United States has outsourced manufacturing in the back half of the 20th century, this is essentially what the American economy is built on. And it's just such it's a shot across the bow from China, but it also is a very revealing indicator of the charlatans on that side. Sam Altman in this open AI model, it says open in the name, but they are not transparent. They have basically privatized their AI model. And
DeepSeek is actually open
DeepSeek is open source, and anybody can download it on their iPhone. And it was one of the most downloaded apps, I think, over the past few days because of that very reason. It's a superior model because it's actually open and not just there to inflate the stock value of these tech companies and to get more money for investment. And so you can see how the efficiency model is just such a false premise. It's just there to get more money for these tech oligarchs. And this would be, I guess, just something to laugh at if these oligarchs weren't a part of the Trump administration. And if we didn't see things like this, which is Chuck Schumer basically saying, oh, we're going to get on top of this. Chuck Schumer tweeted, the DeepSeek announcement from China has been called by some AI's Sputnik moment for America. It's precisely why I made AI a top priority in the last Congress and will keep at it. And you know who he's echoing there? One Mark Andreessen, who, when I was researching this, found out has blocked me, which is great. Mark Andreessen said on January 26th, so 2 days ago, DeepSeek R1 is AI's Sputnik moment. Of course Andreessen wants more U.S. taxpayer dollars poured into AI and analogizing it to Sputnik and to the space race, because that is exactly what all these tech oligarchs want. They want more and more billions of dollars funneled into their project, even though they've shown how inefficient they are. And we have the leader of the Democrats in the Senate more than happy to go along with this very notion.
And I want to be clear, the Sputnik moment refers to when the Russians sent the first satellite into space. And everybody in America was like, hey, wait, what? What's going on here? You can do that? And so at that point, was it Truman or Eisenhower that gets on television and basically says, hey, guys, we're going to start up our own, basically, space program. And we're going to do we're going to start NASA at that point. And understand that in that moment, the first Sputnik moment, who was president in 57?
It's 57.
Yep,
Eisenhower. So, yeah. And so Eisenhower is like, that's basically the start of NASA. And the reason why I say this is that when Chuck Schumer and Mark Andreessen say, this is our Sputnik moment, when they say that in 2025, what they're saying is we should give a lot of cash to private companies, as opposed to the actual Sputnik moment, which was we as a government are going to meet this moment and develop this technology. Now, of course, a lot of that technology ended up being used by private enterprise, having essentially socialize the cost of developing these things and then privatizing the profits on which they built on. Nevertheless, just be careful when they use Sputnik moment, and it's almost like a shell game. It's a Sputnik moment. And what's the whole thing then with giving the money to private enterprise?
Also, we are Sputnik. We were the first to get on the moon in this space race, right? Like, that's considered the thing we beat the Russians at, or the Soviets.
Well,
at.
they beat us into space, though.
But they beat us into space. But our AI, say like it's so advanced. Like in theory, we beat them on AI and getting ahead of it, or at least that's what we were being told. But they've clearly created a superior product, and they're going to get there more quickly because of the open source model, because they are not enclosing it in such a way, and because everybody's going to be able to download it. So I'm making a prediction right now, and I'll expand this to Democrats as well, but Republicans are going to be saying that this is a national security threat in 48 hours. I'm sure that the Democrats will follow suit. DeepSeek Chinese bioweapon leaked from a lab or something like that in order to pervert the minds of the American public, just like that communist TikTok.
Yep.
But
countdown clock.
But these are the people running our government, right? Like when we talk about oligarchy, isn't it incredible how little we're mentioning these Republican politicians and we're just talking about these tech freaks? Because they're running the show.
Yep.
It's as obvious as anything.
Yep.
And it happened almost overnight.
Hey, folks, once again, Trump's personnel picks are all about loyalty over expertise. He named election denier Carrie Lake to lead the Voice of America. That's the U.S.-funded broadcaster meant to provide unbiased news to global audiences. Well, Ground News found hundreds of articles covering this, all concerned about VOA's editorial independence. But you'll still find the America First crowd arguing that this appointment will, quote, restore balance and fairness. Yeah. In reality, we're losing independent journalism and government transparency, setting the stage for propaganda masquerading as credible information. That's why I've trusted my partners at Ground News for years to help me critically analyze the news I consume. They're the only app that's not telling you what to think. Instead, they gather all the headlines, organize them by story, and then add data to each outlet's bias, their credibility, and their financial incentives, so you know exactly who's benefiting from the spin. Take it one step further and filter out questionable sources to stay on top of what's happening without getting buried in the noise. Trump is shaping our future in ways that's going to last for decades, and if we're not paying attention, we're letting history repeat itself. So stay engaged with Ground News, who's fixing what's breaking right in front of us. Trust and transparency in the media. My viewers save 50% on the same unlimited access Vantage plans that I use every day to track these stories and prep for my show. So go to ground.news/majority or scan my QR code to subscribe. Once you start reading the news this way, it's going to be very hard to go back. Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.